Hello and welcome to lesson 8.4, Central and Inscribed Angles. So to start off, let's do our warm-up. For this first one, find the circumference and the area. For this second, find the arc length and sector area. So go ahead and pause. Once you're done, go ahead and click play and we'll go over them. Okay, so for this first circle, remember, I need to know what the radius is, which is going to be half of this, which is going to be 7. So to find the circumference, I'm going to do 2 times pi times 7, which gives me approximately 43.9 or 44. Okay. The area is pi r squared, so pi, remember my radius is 7, squared equals, and that gives me 153.9. Okay, for this next one, find the arc length and sector area. So arc length, remember, is this crust of the pizza. So my formula is going to be 2 times pi times my radius, which in this case is 15, times my angle measure, which is 45, over 360. So when you enter that in your calculator, 2 times pi times 15 times 45 over 360, that gives me 11.7 or 11.8. And finally, I need to find the sector area, which is pi r squared. So once again, radius is 15 squared times 45 over 360. So pi 15 squared times 45 over 360, and that gives me 88.3 or 88.4. Once again, your numbers might be a little different than mine depending on your calculator's value of pi, or if you're using 3.14, that is completely okay. Okay, Lincoln objective. So we've done a lot with arc length and sector area lately. So now we're going to learn a different way that we can measure arcs. We're still on GVC 4. I can use properties of circles to solve problems. And today's learning targets are finding angle measure of an arc from the central angle, doing that backwards, and then doing the same thing with inscribed angles. And none of that really makes sense for now, but we will get there. Okay, who uses this crap anyway? So, most of us can still read analog clocks. I know some of you can only do the digital, and that's okay. But no matter what size your clock is, the number of degrees from the 12 to the 1 and the 1 to the 2 is going to be the same amount of degrees, no matter the size of the clock. And so what we're doing today with central angles is going to help us with things like that. If any of you have made these cool little art things where you take the strings and go around the nails, to get the cool designs, you need to have a basic understanding of inscribed angles to get the lines where you want to go. So that's a more artistic use of math. Notes! So please copy these into your notebook. First, central angle equals the arc angle. Inscribed angle is the arc angle divided by 2. The arc angle equals 2 times the inscribed angle. Once again, I don't expect this to make too much sense to you. It's a lot of words that we haven't gone over before. Just trust me, write these down, and then press play once you're ready to move on. Okay, now I will show you how this is to be done. So, I want to find the angle measure. Rather than measuring in feet or inches, we're going to be measuring in degrees for these. So for the central angle, So here, my central angle, that means that the angle is made of 2 radiuses or radii, and it meets in the center. So central angle, center of the circle. And if I look back to my notes, I know the arc angle is equal to the central angle. So here my central angle is 135, which means that my arc angle is also 135. Pretty straightforward. This one's going to be a little trickier. So this is asking for the measure of arc JK. This is a little different format. So the M just stands for measure. This little curvy line means the arc. And then from J to K means I'm going from here to here. Now this one's going to take me a couple steps to do. So first, I see that the central angle that's labeled here is 125. So I know that this part right here is also going to be 125. Now remember, there are 360 degrees in a circle, and so if half of that would be 180 degrees. So I know that this half is 180 degrees. And then I also know that this whole part right here, so the green and the red, is also going to be 180 degrees. So to find this missing red part, I need to do 180 minus the 125. So go ahead and do that in your calculators. 180 minus 125. That would help if I entered that right. And you should get 55 degrees. Okay, I know that was kind of confusing. We're going to keep practicing these. They should make a little more sense by the end. So in your notebooks, go ahead and copy this first circle right here. Let me move these down. Okay. So once again, my central angle is right here, and I know that this arc length is 115. And remember, these two are equal. So my answer for this first one would be 115 degrees. Okay. Go ahead. Actually, let's do this one next. Okay, go ahead and copy this one down. And then press play once you're ready. Okay, so this is wanting the measure of angle RPS. So what this means is I start at R, and then I go through P to S. So it's talking about this angle right there. That's what it's wanting to know. So I have the measure of this angle, is 80. I know this one is 145. And so I want to know what this one here is. So think to yourself, how many degrees are in a circle? If you said 360, you would be right. So I'm going to do 360 minus 80 minus 145. Ooh, that was a fancy 5. Okay, so do that in your calculators real quick. 360 minus 80 minus 145. And you should get 135. So I know that this purple part right here is 135. And since central angles equal the outside angle, that means this right here is also 135 degrees. Okay, go ahead and see if you can do this one on your own. So pause the video here, work it out, and then once you're ready, press play. Okay, hopefully you knew the central angle equals the arc angle. So your answer for this one would just be 118 degrees. Okay, pick one of these to do on your own. So if you're a little fuzzy on these, do this first one. If you feel pretty good about these, go ahead and try the second one. Pause, work it out on your own, and then press play. Okay, so if you did this first circle, once again, the arc angle equals the central angle, so it's 145 degrees. For this next one, I was finding IKH. I know that half of the circle is 180 degrees. So I do 180 minus 75, and that gives me 105 degrees. Okay, pencils down, eyes up here. Now we're going to be talking about inscribed. So what inscribed means, this first part, in, means it's going to be inside of the circle. Inscribed is a fancy way of saying like written. So if you think of a scribe. So they're lines and angles that are written inside of the circle. So if I think back to my notes, it told me that the inscribed is half of the arc angle. So here it's inscribed, it's inside the triangle, or sorry, inside the circle. I know my shapes, guys. So if the arc angle here is 140, then I need to do 140 divided by 2, which gives me 70 degrees. Okay. So this one right here, so this angle right here is 111, and it's inscribed and goes from here to here. So I know that this part of the circle right here, whoop, would be 111 times 2, which equals 222. Okay, so that's this big part right here. I also know there are 360 degrees in a circle, so that this part right here is going to be the rest of that. So 360 minus 222. And I'm going to do that on my calculator. And that gives me 138 degrees. So I know that that's this outside part right here is 138. Okay. This angle here is going to be half of that. So I'm going to divide that by 2. Divide by 2. And that gives me 69 degrees for the inscribed angle. Once again, I know that's a lot of steps. We're going to practice some more of these. Okay, so go ahead and copy down this first circle right here. Whoop. So this one wants me to find the measure of this inscribed angle. So it gives me 2 pieces of the outside. I know this right here is 125 degrees. And I know this right here is 145 degrees, which means this part right here needs to bring the whole circle to 360. So I'm going to do 360 minus 125 minus 145, and that gives me 90 degrees right here. Okay, what do I need to do with this 90 to figure out this inscribed angle over here? Good, I need to divide it by 2, which gives me 45 degrees. Okay. Let's do this one next. So go ahead, copy this one down, press play once you're ready to go. Okay, so in this circle, it gives me this angle right here, which is 75 degrees, which means that this whole length right here is going to be 75 times 2, which is 150. So now I need to find this part of the circle. So I'm going to do 360 minus 150, and that gives me 210. What do I need to do with this 210 to find the question mark? That's right, I divided by 2. So I get 105 degrees. Okay. Go ahead and try this one. This one's fewer steps. I want to see if you can do it on your own. So give it a shot. Press play once you're ready to go over it. Okay, here I don't have all those extra steps. I just know that this part right here is 182 degrees, and I need to divide that by 2. So 182 divided by 2 gives me 91 degrees. Okay, this one's a little trickier. I want you to try this one on your own, so press pause and then play once you're ready to figure it out. Okay, so for this one, I know that this is 130 degrees, this is 136 degrees, and the full circle needs to be 360 degrees. So I'm going to do 360 minus 130 minus 136. And that gives me 94. And what do I need to do with this 94 to find that part? That's right, divide it by 2. And my answer is 47 degrees. Okay. Once again, this part will go a little faster. I'm working backwards. So here, if this is 70, this one needs to be twice that, so I'm going to do 70 times 2, which means this is going to be 140 degrees. And just watch, you don't have to write this part down. Okay. For this one, it wants to know this part right here. Okay. So I know that this inscribed part is 33, which means this right here is going to be 66. Okay. This line right here is half of the circle. So I know that this number plus this number equals 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 66. And that gives me 114 degrees. Okay. So first, go ahead and copy this one down in your notebooks. Okay, if this is 45 right here, and I'm trying to find this, what do I need to do with that 45? That's right, multiply it by 2, so 45 times 2 gives me 90 degrees. Okay, let's see. Let's do this one next. Go ahead and copy that down. Press play once you're ready to move on. Okay, this one's a little tricky. So I know that this is 140 degrees right here. And I know that this is 80. Okay. And notice how this line does not quite go through the center, so that means it is not a diameter. So I can't use that for my 180 mark. However, I know that this right here is 105, and its angles go from here to here. So if I double that, I know that this whole part right here whoop, is 210. Okay. This part right here is 40, so I'm going to do 210 divided by 40. Or sorry, 210 minus 40. My bad. This part here is 170. So I've got 170, 40, and 80. And I know that this part here needs to bring me all the way to 360. So I'm going to do 360 minus 80 minus 170 minus 210 minus 40. Oh, just kidding. Not minus 210. Try that again. 360 minus 80 minus 170 minus 40. There we go. And this gives me 70 degrees. Okay, so the angle it's asking me for is this one right here. So I want to know the total length here. The two parts that make that up are 40 and 70. So I'm going to do 40 plus 70, and that gives me 110. Okay, we're going to skip this one because I don't like it. Okay, go ahead and try this one on your own. Press play once you're ready to go over it. Okay, so this one here is 54 degrees. I know this is going to be double that, so I'm going to do 54 times 2. And that gives me 108 degrees. Woo! We made it to the end of the lesson. Thanks for sticking through. I know this one was longer than usual. We had a lot to get through. Feel free to watch it again if you need some more practice. Once again, today's assignment is on Canvas. You have multiple attempts, so do it until you get the score you're happy with. It's not a quiz, even though it says a quiz. It's just an assignment and worth the same 10 points it usually is. So good luck, and I will see you next lesson.